All right, guys. So forgive my my face. I have a bunch of allergies going on right now. It's blooming here in Arizona. This is the COBB intercooler. Check out this bad boy. It's nice and thick. Of course, the fit and finish is perfect. You know, when you compare the two, that's what it looks like. So on a Bronco Raptor, basically you take the bottom skid out. You can do this without lifting the truck, taking the bumper off. There's 4 15mm bolts which pull the skid plate off, and then there's the retaining clip which basically holds this to the frame. And there's 4 more 15mm bolts. That's it. So you just reuse these little rubber grommets, top and bottom, and it's all set. From start to right now, it took me about 5 minutes. So I could probably do this whole thing in roughly 10 to 15. It's gonna be super easy. We're getting the intercooler on. I have an intake coming, S&B Intake. I have the IG AOS up here. I'm putting a TurboSmart Blowoff Valve on here. And I think for now, that's all I'm gonna do. But we'll get this in. All right. Okay, so that took about 10 minutes. Super easy. I brought my water out here because I thought it was gonna take a little while, but it was fast. That's it. So we've got the intercooler installed. Like I said, just got the AOS to do, the intake, and we'll be set for a while. I may end up throwing the SPD catted downpipes on, I'm not too sure yet, but simple. So whoever's looking to do an intercooler on these, a COBB intercooler, this is what you do. 10 minutes, and it's easy, start to finish. Today we have something super excited for the Bronco here right in front of me. And it's actually a couple things. First, we're gonna open the first package, and I want you guys to see what this is. All right, so this first package is super cool. Came from Tyson and Brett at Hammerbuilt. It is our third brake light / chase light. So they've been working on this for a while, so it's super exciting to finally have this. And it's actually perfect timing because we're gonna be going to Moab in 3 weeks. And we're taking the Bronco Raptor. Now that I have this, we'll get this installed after we do the spark plugs. So I'm going back to the dyno tomorrow, and I plan to put it back on the dyno with the intercooler. I still have the intake, so we're gonna test without the intake for now, but I plan to get back on the dyno on a lower blend of ethanol and hopefully hit 500 horsepower. So we're gonna do the spark plugs now and move on from there. So the spark plugs we're gonna use for this are the NGK Rutheniums. And you guys have seen us use these before on the Explorer ST. But first I'm going to gap them. And what I like to use as a gap spec is 0.26 to 0.28, somewhere in between there. And so I have this cool little gap tool from Amazon. I'll show you guys how to use this as well. But you use that, and then you use these feeler gauges. So let's check this out. So you take the plug and you put it here in this tool. And it sits in there just perfect. So once it's in the tool, you basically turn this knob, and that is what tightens the plug. So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to measure the plug to see where it's at. So 0.32 should not fit. Nope, but 0.30 should. And it does. 0.31 out of the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this at 0.28 to start. So what we're going to do is put it in this tool, and we're going to tighten it just a little bit. You can visually see it barely moves. So 0.28 just barely fits in there. So we'll tighten it up a little bit more. 0.26 fits, and 0.28 does not. So that means it's at 0.27, right in the middle of the range. That's perfect. So we're going to do this to the rest of the spark plugs, and then we're going to get to installing them. So we have our spark plug socket, and these really help a lot keeping the spark plug on the socket. So get this down in there. You can feel it on the plug now. So once it's loose, what I like to do is just use my hands. Same thing for getting them in there. I don't like to use a socket wrench or an impact gun or anything like that. These are really fragile, so it's easier to just use your hand. What's nice about this motor too is that they're not very difficult to do. There's no engine covers, nothing, so Pretty easy. This is the plug. Doesn't look too bad. This is brand new though, so makes sense. So what I like to do now at this point is just take the spark plug, it's already gapped, stick it in the spark plug socket, and then just hand tighten it in there. This ensures that you don't over torque or cross thread it really. All right, so now we need to use our torque wrench. So we have our torque wrench, and the torque spec, I believe, is 11 foot-pounds or 131 inch-pounds. So we're gonna torque this. It's really not that tight, so be careful when you go to torque these down, you don't over torque them. All right, one thing I might mention while we're doing the passenger side is there's this cover, which looks like a heat shield with a high pressure fuel pump maybe, but this just pops out and you can kind of see what this looks like. It's one of these things, so it's probably not reusable, but I'm gonna reuse it anyways. And then this little shield gets pulled back and you can see there's a cover there, but you got access to the coil packs. So there's one coil pack here, coil pack there. So you need to move this out of the way and then you got access. That finishes up our spark plug job. We're done now, so I'm gonna start the truck up and make sure everything idles okay, and we're all finished. All right, we also got another box. Now this is really exciting again too, because you Bronco Raptor, Ranger Raptor guys that want tuning need this. Check this out. These are all ECUs from HP tuners. So what I do is I source the ECU and I get these sent to HP tuners, and they get them and then they do their service on them, the unlocking service. And now this ECU is what you guys are going to be using to swap into your vehicles. So these are the ECUs. So we actually have 5 of them here. One of them is actually sold, and then another guy is going to be bringing his truck by, so his is sold. So these 2 are gone. So what you'll see is you'll see our website go live with 3 more tuning kits available, and then once these are sold, then it's going to be out of stock again. So we got to wait for the other ECUs to come in, but we have 3 available and 2 we're going to be using to ship out.
And check this out. This is what everyone will be getting along with the ECU. RTD, HP tuners, TDN.
What we're going to do here is we're going to test the ethanol that's coming out of the pump over at the gas station closest to us. So I have what's called the Rev X Oil Super Tester ethanol tester. So what I did was I just filled the whole thing up and brought it home. But it tells you what to do on the sides of it. So I'm going to take this ethanol and I'm going to put it in this cup and start from scratch. So it says, step 1, remove the cap and fill it to the water line. So the water line is actually right here. So I'm going to fill this up with water. So I filled it up to the water line with water, and now it says to fill the rest of it up to this line with gasoline or ethanol. So in our case, we're going to fill it up with ethanol. I should have enough to be able to do this. Hopefully not spill it on my counter. I love the smell of ethanol. So that's done. Now it says to put the cap on, shake it, let it sit, and once this is done, then it's going to tell us where the ethanol is. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but it looks like it's right at 50% ethanol. So this is here in Phoenix. If anybody needs to fill up with 50%, it's right on the spot.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to highlight a few things that we had done to the Bronco. As you guys know, we had a 21 Badlands in the past before, and so I nerded out on that and did a lot of things to it. But when we got the Bronco Raptor, we had a few things left over. We had these LP4s left off from my bumper, and so we got Winfield hooked up with these for his ditch lights. And then when we stopped by SDHQ, they lined us up with this light bar right here to give us some extra light. Also Baja Designs light pod, so that was pretty nifty. As you guys saw in the video, or you will be seeing those IAG tube doors. That was something that I had on my Bronco and I love them. They're just quality, fitment, easy to install, and they look great. So if you guys definitely are looking for something to have fun with, to take your doors off, definitely recommend IAG. For a lot of their Bronco parts, they've done a lot of stuff, a lot of development on things like that, so definitely look them up for that. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick just point out on those parts, and definitely something to look at.
All right guys, we have the doors off, the roof's still on, but we're heading back to the dyno. We've got everything done. We got the spark plugs done, we have the intercooler on now, and so we're heading back to the dyno to see how much more power we can make on E30. We're not on E50 this time, or E40, whatever we were. It was too much ethanol, and so the truck was going into some sort of injector limiter and pulling back power. So we're gonna see if we can go make any more power today, and if we do, it's gonna be awesome. But this is what I consider stage 2. So an intercooler and potentially an intake once we get our intake on, to see how much more power that adds. But the intercooler is the big one. So all of these EcoBoosts for some reason hate the stock intercoolers. They're just not that good. This one's actually not horrible like most of them, but we do have the COBB intercooler on here now as well. So let's see how much more power we can make. All right, I want you guys to see this. This is so close, it's crazy. Like, so close. So I need a spotter. I don't want to damage the lift or my Raptor. We made it, and we are looking to make some power. So that's the goal here. I'll pop the hood, get it ready, and we're gonna get on the dyno. So today we actually decided to go take this thing out in the desert and go to Box Canyon here in Arizona. As you guys can see, there's just so much out here. The cactus, railroad tracks, everything. And this thing is doing awesome. I went ahead and lowered tire pressure a little bit because it's real bumpy out here. And we're probably gonna do some high-speed stuff, so lowering tire pressure always helps. But take a look at this. This is so nice. And this is the stuff that I put the truck through. So I put it through all its paces. We're doing all the testing. I have my laptop to data log. So let's go out here and have some fun.